Hi everyone, welcome back to Shrimania. Today I'm gonna replace Undergravel filter box inside this tank behind me. This tank is roughly about 1 year old, and the soil already is not buffering the water as good as before. So the pH of the water in this tank is roughly about 6.4, which is a little bit high for high-end Carolina shrimps. So also you can see it's a little bit messed now, it's a little bit overgrown and lots of moss here, so I want to do the haircut and tidy up the tank. So here I have my little tank where I'm cycling the soil inside Undergravel filter boxes, and this is quite important to do that before you exchange your Undergravel filter boxes, simply because it's new soil is releasing a lot of minerals in the beginning, and also it's very important to seed it with nitrifying bacteria, of course, so your filters start to work immediately once you replace it. So this Undergravel filter box is basically doing two jobs. It's buffering your water because it's water constantly moving through your soil, so it's buffering your water and lowering your pH, and also it has a lot of surface area inside where your nitrifying bacteria lives, so you don't have a soil at the bottom in a tank where you have a thick amount of soil like this one. Your nitrifying bacteria lives a lot inside this soil, but we don't have it here. So all your most of your nitrifying bacteria lives inside your Undergravel filter box. So it's very important you cycle your filter box prior, you change it, so make sure your nitrifying bacteria lives inside. And this tank used to be established. You can see there's a lot of biofilm and algae on the glass, and I just using as cycling the filters here. I put some bacteria powder as well, so to create some food for nitrifying bacteria. So now it's been more than 3 weeks it's been cycling here, so I'm sure it's fully cycled already. So and it's time to change this filter, and I hope my shrimp's gonna be happy after doing this. They are okay now. They're not as active as my other shrimps in my new tanks, you know. Or this tank, for example, I already replaced my filters recently, and I made a video about that. The shrimp's doing much better now. I can see they're more active and they start to breed, and they're doing fantastic anyway. So I hope once we change our filter in this tank, our shrimp's going to be doing much better. So the first thing I want to do, I want to trim this moss, and it's quite a lot of the moss here in this tank. You can see it's more than enough, yeah, and I don't see much of the shrimps because a lot of shrimps hiding inside the moss. Actually, they like to be on the moss, as you can see. The thing is why they want to be on the moss, guys, because this moss sitting on top of the filter and the water constantly running through the moss and through the filter. So once the water running through the moss is creating some beneficial bacteria, some biofilm, and catching lots of food particles inside. So it's creating growth of bacteria and growth of algae on the moss. So the shrimps very like to hang on this moss, and as you can see, it's everywhere on the moss, so they like to be there and eat that bacteria. If you prefer to keep your moss at the bottom of the tank, it's going to work as well, but not as good as you keep it on top of the filter, I think, yeah. So that's my opinion. So now let's trim this moss and tidy up this tank. I also want to move this soil slightly at the front, because you can see the soil over the time moving towards the back because of the water flow from the filters. It's just going like in a circle, and then moving the soil slightly to the back. So I don't really like it, because maybe once a month I have to bring it back to the front, just to create a thin layer all over the bottom of the tank. Otherwise, you know, it is going to end up at the back of the tank and create a thick layer at the back, which is not ideal, yeah. Yeah, guys, take a look at this piece of moss. I didn't trim it for quite some time, maybe a couple months, and it's really overgrown its space now. It is a flame moss, by the way, because lots of you guys asking me all the time. So I basically never trim my moss, I just peel off the portions of the moss. Slowly make sure there's no shrimps inside. You see that shrimps here still. That's another shrimp here on the moss. So make sure you do a little shake before you trim it, before you peel it off. So you see I peel a big portion of the moss, and then make sure there's no babies or any adult shrimps inside before I remove it. So that's it. This is the amount I'm probably gonna leave, just little portion, and then when I put a new box, I'm gonna put it on top. So guys, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna remove that Undergravel filter box away from the tank, the old one, and before I put the new one, I'm gonna bring the soil to the front, make sure it's nice and flat, and then we're gonna put a new Undergravel filter box inside the tank. Okay, now let's put underground filter box with new soil here. I hope no shrimps underneath. Yep. I'm back again, and it's been 2 days since I changed underground filter box in the shrimp tank, and you can see my shrimps already distribute the soil over the surface at the front of the tank, and this looks much tidier now. I'm very happy with the water parameters in this tank. pH of the water now is 5.6, and this is what I want. Very good pH for high-end Carudinia shrimps. And guys, this method works so nice for me. Imagine if I would have like built-in underground filter. You know, some breeders, they do like a divider at the back of the tank and filling it with the soil, so like a built-in underground filtration. It works fine. It works the same as this filtration, even maybe a little bit better because you have more space for soil. But the problem is, once your soil losing your buffering capacity and it's time to change the soil, you're most likely to cycle your tank again and restart your tank. It's basically because it's no other way around. You have to remove all your shrimps, you have to remove the soil, you have to put the soil, put the bacterial powder, and then cycle your tank again. In this case, when we have a freestanding filter box, it's much easier. So you just cycle your box in the bucket in another tank for a few weeks, and then you replace your existing box with a new one, and it's job done. Works so well for me, guys. Super happy with this method. Yeah, this moss doesn't look very good, but in a few weeks it's gonna be growing upwards, like in this tank you can see, and it's gonna be looking much better. So I'm very pleased with this moss, because that moss is not growing super fast, and shrimps really love it. They like to hang on this moss. You can see this, most of them there. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the shrimps in this tank. This is mixed tank, and I have another mixed tank next to it, and this tank is quite large. It's 92 liters roughly, probably about 20 gallons, 25 gallons. And I have some mixed shrimps here, and I have a mixed shrimps in this tank, so there's no point really to have two mixed tanks. And also I have some space in this tank, so I can simply move some of the shrimps from this tank to this tank, and then I probably separate some of the like a black galaxy into my black galaxy tank, and red galaxy shrimps into my red galaxy tanks. So I have a quite decent black galaxies and red galaxies in this tank. You can see some of them here. So now I already start to looking for new shrimps for this tank, and I want to find something what I don't have, and something very exotic. So this tank has a new soil, new underground filter box, has plenty of algae and biofilm. It's an established tank, so it's a good idea to have a brand new colony of shrimps here, something which I don't have, something new. Yeah, okay, this is my plans for this tank, and I hope you enjoy this video, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.